The cold, icy world of Pluto is the most distant planet, dwarf planet, in the solar system. It's a small, rugged orb of rock and ice, and as far as we can tell, it's a lifeless, barren world that's far too dark and far too cold to host any kind of life. Although new data might turn that assumption on its head. NASA's New Horizons spacecraft recently buzzed by Pluto and sent back a ton of photos and videos and measurements and all sorts of cool stuff. These images have revolutionized our understanding of Pluto, from its surface topography and geography to its color, geochemistry, and physical ecology. One of the more surprising things to come back from the New Horizons mission has to do with the shape and the physical history of Pluto. It's really interesting because NASA thinks that Pluto has a subsurface ocean. This is mind-boggling because it means that there's possibly life all the way out here at the very edge of the solar system. In previous news segments, and in my playlist on life in the solar system, I've talked about various moons of Saturn and Jupiter, which have a crusty shell of ice that encases a subsurface liquid water ocean. On some of these moons, particularly Enceladus, there's a really strong case to make for alien life existing in the dark, ice-covered oceans. So the fact that NASA scientists think that there might be a subsurface ocean on Pluto is really exciting. So this subsurface ocean on Pluto was suspected way back in 2016, a year after New Horizons sent back the bulk of its data. After several years of analysis, NASA scientists were going to present their findings at the Lunar and Planetary Science Conference earlier this month, but it was cancelled because of the whole coronavirus pandemic. What they were going to present was basically two hypotheses on Pluto's formation: the cold start and the warm start hypotheses. The cold start idea basically argues that any water on Pluto during its formation was frozen, and it only melted into liquid water later after it was exposed to the heat of radioactive elements in Pluto's core. In this case, the scientists expected to see cracks and ripples across the ice shell, as the planet would have contracted when the water froze, creating wrinkles and mountains, and then the planet expanded when the water melted, which would have stretched the ice and created features like grabens and fault lines. Now, on the other hand, the warm start idea argues that the ocean on Pluto has virtually always been liquid for its whole 4.5 billion year lifespan. In this case, any surface cracks would have been caused by limited expansion as part of the water body froze. The exciting detail is that the data from New Horizons basically confirmed the warm start hypothesis. Carver Beerson is a planetary scientist at the University of California at Santa Cruz, and he was involved in this latest research. Dr. Beerson said, quote, "That means that maybe Pluto did start off warm. Maybe it started with a liquid ocean really early on," unquote. This possibility is really fascinating, because having a liquid ocean for billions of years would give ample opportunity for life to emerge, evolve, and increase in complexity, and maybe even establish an alien ecology at the scale of the ecosphere. Now, there was also a second study that looked at Pluto's geography, specifically at an impact basin called Sputnik Planitia, and the area on the exact opposite side of the planet from Sputnik Planitia. This far side revealed a pattern of cracks that were the imprints of shock waves from the asteroid impact that created Sputnik Planitia. The impactor hit Pluto, and shock waves rippled around the planet, and they would have collided on the exact opposite side. And the only way that the shock waves would have rolled through the dwarf planet like this to produce the specific pattern of cracks that they saw on the opposite side from Sputnik Planitia, the only way this would have been possible is if there was an ocean in the way. A subsurface ocean that was about 150 kilometers deep above a mineral core. Aidan Denton is a planetary scientist at Purdue University, and she was involved in this second study. With respect to the potential for alien life in this subsurface Plutonian ocean, Dr. Denton said, quote, "It's certainly not exactly a smoking gun, but it's exciting," unquote. James Tuttle Keene is a planetary scientist at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, and while he was a member of the New Horizons team, he wasn't involved in either of the most recent studies. Dr. Keene said that if Pluto has a potentially habitable ocean, this opens the door to the possibility that life exists all the way out there, at the very fringe of the solar system. Dr. Keene said, quote, "This is one of the coolest hypotheses that a future Pluto mission could test. If Pluto can have an ocean and potentially be habitable, it's very likely that other bodies in the Kuiper Belt are also ocean worlds, and also are potentially habitable." Unquote. Now, I don't know about you, but I think this kind of stuff is incredibly cool, like stupid cool. I would be super excited to see what forms life could take, even if it's just microbial life, all the way out here at the distant edge of the solar system, out in the Kuiper Belt. But to find out whether life exists on Pluto or not, or whether life exists beyond Pluto, we'll have to send more probes, more drones, and maybe, one day, human astronauts to personally set foot on Pluto or some of these outer Kuiper Belt bodies and probe their subsurface oceans to find out whether or not these oceans really are lifeless, or if they are, in fact, full of alien life.